We're with the main man, Rishi, today. Welcome, Rishi. Thank you for joining us and good evening. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Could be a bit better. Just really warm today, so
I,
just going
w-
through today, let's just say.
I won't judge the sweater, man. I completely understand. But look, we're here really to celebrate, man. It's great to have you on the client hot seat. You've been with us for a while now, and you've achieved so much in your journey with us. And I think it's always right to celebrate success. And hearing from you today, I know is going to inspire other people that are in the program, that are thinking about being part of the program. So I'm really looking forward to sharing in your journey, learning more from you, and just taking stock of just how far you've come. So if you don't mind, can we just kick off with a bit of an intro? Like, what's life like for you, family life, work? What sort of things do you do? And just a bit of a background.
Yeah, so I'm actually a family man, so I've got two young kids. Actually, funny enough, I actually started the program when I just had a newborn. Now, let's just say my newborn's no longer a newborn, it's a toddler. So that's how long I've been with the program. But I'm a normal individual, a normal dad who has two kids, who does the normal nursery pickup, the nursery drop off, has a busy life, works in the city, and is nonstop on my feet. It's just literally hectic nonstop. But that's life. It's just something that you just have to get on with.
But I know there's quite a few people that have joined us recently with newborns, very young children. So I can commend you because normally people say wait for things to settle down, don't start right now. It's not the right time. Wait until things are quieter. But I think as you've probably noticed, things don't get quieter, do they? They just get busier.
There's literally nonstop. You think it's going to just quiet down after you have a kid. Actually, it goes busier and busier the older your kids get. And you're never going to get time back to yourself after school clubs, doing the nursery pickups, or finding time to just meet the other parents, catching up with life, even having time for dinner at night. So, yeah.
Do you know what? I mean, that probably allows us to paint a bit of a picture as to what life was like before you joined us. I know it was a bit of time ago now, but um, with things being so busy with your work and everything like that, how was it impacting you? Because obviously you've lost a lot of weight here, man. But how was that kind of impacting you?
Um, all the weight
All the
before I
weight
actually
before.
lost it. It was actually having a big impact on me, to be honest. It was actually slowing me down. It was actually making me a bit more lethargic, let's just say. I was struggling to wake up in the morning. So previously, let's just say work starts at 9, I'll be struggling to wake up at 8 o'clock. I'll be tired throughout the day, maybe grumpy at times. And you know, one thing which was more important, I was usually stressed out a lot. I would actually make the smallest thing into the biggest thing and actually be panicking. Okay, I need to get X, Y, Z done. If it doesn't get done, it's the end of the world. And on top of that, not only on the mental health, I would actually say more on the physical health as well. Since I was always tired, all I wanted to do was sleep, lounge around, otherwise actually not even socialize, do anything. And where I did have that time, I'll just stuff my face because I'll just be so tired, stressed. I'll just be like, oh, let me just help myself to a snack, keep on going, and not even be conscious about what I'll be eating or doing throughout the day.
Do you know what I mean? You've mentioned there the impact it was having on you, your energy, your stamina, the way you're feeling within yourself, mentally and physically. How was that impacting things around you? I mean, your work, your family, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to give enough time to my wife, let's just say, in a normal day. And even with my first child, it was just literally running around after him. And on top of that, I wasn't able to give as much of my time I wanted to, meaning I wasn't able to spend quality time. I come in from work, I'll just be like, let's get him ready for bed, let's go. Not actually spend time, not actually do any outdoorsy activities on the weekend as well. Just actually just stay indoors, maybe just jump in the car, drive somewhere, no fresh air, and just keep on going.
Hmm. I mean, look, I think it's really, really important to acknowledge this because you are such a family man and you can sense that straight away. It's how you describe yourself. And I can imagine just for yourself, like not being able to be the best version of you and just feeling that impact could have been quite damaging to you as well. But I think that led you to us. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, that is a fair statement.
And look, I can't discount the impact Atish has had as well. So I know you joined us probably after seeing Atish's results and the changes he had made. I can see a hand raised, Atish. I'm not sure if you want to pop into the con.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd probably add in terms of where Rishi was before joining CHR, I only thought about this the other day that he used to actually have a fair few digestive problems, and I think he was going down the route with his doctors and going down the various medical departments to get that checked into. And I remember him telling me that yeah, he'd be in discomfort, he'd have tummy pains, react to various things, and you know what? It took me probably about 12 months to realize all of that noise has disappeared. And I genuinely hope that is because the problems have gone away, as opposed to Rishi just not speaking about them. But I realized in the fact that we speak almost every single day to each other, and he hardly, I think he's not really mentioned it since at least, the last 9, 10 months, and that's such a fantastic thing. Not just that he's lost weight, not just that he's got energy and looks better, but some of his underlying health concerns, they seem to have disappeared, and he's a lot more, he must be so much more comfortable as well as a result of not having pain in his abdomen area all the time.
That is actually a valid point. So I have stopped whinging about all my stomach issues because they don't exist anymore. They are there in the smallest, minute form, but ever since I've actually started, let's just say it was one of my worst when I actually was starting because obviously of all of the junk. Otherwise, let's just say I wasn't actually aware what I was doing to my body.
Yeah.
And then actually, when I became more conscious, I actually became to learn my body better and
Mm.
actually learn what potentially can trigger it or not trigger it, and actually get to a point where I don't even realize that there's anything wrong with any of my gut issues, etc.
Mate, I think I'm glad Atish shared that because
Yeah.
sometimes we do look at it as just like a physical transformation. We see the numbers on the scale, we see the weight dropping down, the measurements coming down, and even your photo shoot, those pictures that before and after was just insane. But to think about the internal changes that are happening under the surface that we don't get to see on a scale, we don't get to see it on a number or in the mirror. So it's great to hear that it's had that impact from within. And I guess that it kind of improves your quality of life, your overall quality of life.
Hmm.
Too. Um, Tell me, kind of what was that journey to reaching out to me and having that initial conversation? How did you come about making the decision that you wanted to make a change?
It was actually multiple factors. First, I feel it was Atish on my case every day for 12 months saying, you need to join CHR, you need to join CHR. But let's put that aside. It was actually more about self realizations, thinking, actually, you know what, I'm not getting any younger. The older I'm going to get, the more I'm actually going to start deteriorating the way I'm actually going. Secondly, it was saying time isn't on your side, meaning anything can happen at any day. If you're not the best version of yourself at the current point, when are you ever going to be? And another thing that triggered, well, those two more things I would say that triggered me. I keep on saying, maybe tomorrow, but is tomorrow ever going to come until I actually take this step? And the last one was actually my wife pushing me to actually say, you know what, you keep on saying all of the same points I said just now, then 3 points. When are you going to actually do it? And that's what made me actually take that massive step and say, you know what, it's true. Let me actually take action on what I'm saying.
But I remember though, when we first spoke, and by the way, I've got the notes about our first conversation and everything you shared with me. Um, and I think you had tried things in the past, like you had tried
Yes.
these changes, but for whatever reason, it wasn't sticking. What had you tried, and why do you think
Yeah.
it's working for you?
So what everything I tried was I tried F45. I actually tried a personal trainer. So F45 I tried for a good 6 months. So for those who don't know what F45 is, it hit sessions in the morning. Um, 5 days a week I tried that. I tried a personal trainer twice a week and actually trying to get into weight. I'm scared to shape. And also I tried dieting, cutting out carbs, cutting out sugary stuff, having my all or nothing approach, which we discussed. But you know what? It was actually not working because my mindset was not there. My mindset was just like previously. I've actually lost weight before, not the right way, but I've lost it before. I can do it again. And it was just saying, okay, let me just do exercise to see if it actually helps. But realistically, through the journey, you actually realize it's not only the exercise you do, it's about everything else around it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like because you said there are a few examples there of the diet, so the low carbs, like it seems like it was almost crash dieting or trying to do things. Obviously, we know now that's not what your body responds to, and
No.
especially when you've got a busy lifestyle, loads going on, work, social occasions. You guys are really busy. You have the holidays as well. So just having all those different things, it doesn't really align to doing like quick fixes, right?
No, because as soon as like let's just say I would do intermittent fasting, just not eat throughout the day. It'll come by 5 o'clock when work finishes. I would just find the and closest thing to me, closest takeaway, chicken and chips. Otherwise, go to find a massive bar of chocolate, stuff my face, not even encounter actually how much calories actually a whole bar of chocolate will have. I probably have my daily allowance in it, and actually have probably two of them, and then still have dinner afterwards, and maybe even have a pint or two after that. So technically, all of the good work I did was just being backtracked without actually having the right knowledge on actually what I was doing.
Yeah, man. And look, let's just acknowledge the fact that you were trying, but obviously it just wasn't the
Mhm.
right fit. I think this is where like the education is so important, just learning more about your own body, but also how to manage nutrition, how to manage your training, recovery, how to manage it around family life as well. I know that Gavel has just recently had a new one pop along, so he's got another baby just in the house. Very similar position to where you started from, actually. So congratulations, Dav, but also I think he might be interested to hear. How did you find that balance? Because you've got so much going on, so many pulls on your time and energy. How did you find the time to train and even look after yourself with all
It's actually making that time. So not only working with the team, so obviously yourself and the other coaches actually guiding me, saying potentially trying my hardest, actually not forcing me to work hard. It's actually more saying, let's find something that works around your routine. Instead of saying you have to work out 50 minutes a day, why don't we start potentially with 10 to 15 minutes, but make it an effective 10 to 15 minutes? So what I would do is when my second newborn, I would actually, when the baby's sleeping, I will actually go for 10, 15 minutes. Yes, it may not be the most productive of a session, but what counted was actually the small amount of trying and staying consistent with it. So since obviously I was being consistent with it, eventually it got easier and easier. And then in order to actually incorporate it into my day-to-day life, I don't have time during the day because I'm working. Don't have it in the evening because after work you never know what happened, putting the kids to bed. So I'll just have to wake up early. So I'm actually training my body now. I wake up every day at 4:30 in the morning to actually make sure I get my workout done. But it's not only getting my workout done, is also to actually keep consistent with my own routine of actually producing my output.
Yeah, man. I love that. And yeah, everybody here, I think, listening to that will take a lot of value from that. Just recognizing that staying consistent and sometimes the small things that we do keep us going, keep us ticking along. But I bet the perfectionist within you, the one that wanted to be all or nothing, struggled with that kind of mindset of doing less initially.
Yeah. Um, it still does, to be honest. It still does. I'm not even gonna lie about that. It's some days I still have my. Just because I managed to lose 20 kg, it doesn't mean I'm still not battling with myself. It's an ongoing battle. Sometimes you have to keep on telling yourself, keep on being consistent, keep on trying. Like for example, you probably aware I've injured my arm recently, and I'm still trying to actually find alternative ways to keep it consistent because I know in my head, like the all of nothing approach, if I stop it, I don't want to go down the spiraling route. However, saying that, I've been on multiple holidays. I've had breaks throughout the program, and I still have not managed to yo-yo back to my old ways as I used to, just with the amount of, I would say, guidance I've had of just saying it is okay to eat food. It is okay to have a rest day. It is okay to actually enjoy yourself at times.
That's wicked, man. Mate, honestly, that's so powerful to hear because those things, those like little tripwires that you have, like illnesses, injuries, holidays, having really busy periods with work and family stuff, like it's so easy to feel like you're gonna fall backwards. But even
Yeah.
when you said that, you've got the confidence to know that you've got the tools and you can manage it. Uh,
Mhm.
do you mind just sharing like your biggest kind of wins? Like what have you achieved physically, mentally? What's your biggest kind of achievement so far?
So basically, it will actually be being able to fit into my suit, which I wore for my wedding, couple of years ago. At that time, it was actually still tight for me. I just concealed it well. So now I actually tried it on, I would say, straight after the photo shoot. So let's just say a couple of months ago, and it was actually loose on me. So I remember when we first started, I said that was one of my goals. Let's just see if I can actually fit into that suit again. I managed to fit into that. But another one is actually physical win is my biggest pain point, and you know about this as well, is my love handles. It's actually one of my most insecure areas of my body where I'm just struggling to lose weight. So at first, I never actually saw the difference because it was just there. But then slowly and slowly, I felt it loosening up on my t-shirt. Let's just say it wasn't rubbing against it anymore. So slowly, I would say physically that was one of my biggest wins. Obviously, I still got a long way to go, but I would say at this current point, that was one of my biggest wins of actually tackling that, but actually being able to get it down significantly with just keeping consistent.
To date as well, if you don't mind sharing, do you know the stats? Do you know the data, like how much you've lost and at your lowest, and also waist size and measurements? Have you got those numbers to hand?
Yeah, so I can tell you my waist size. So I was actually bordering from 36 to 38 when I started. So I was roughly, when I started, I was at 36, 38. Now I'm wearing size 30 to 31 trousers. Um, the issue is I'm trying to struggle to find new belts to actually fit me. I actually went to a phase where I had to start poking holes in my belt. But then people were like, yeah, your trousers still look too big. So that's when I had to actually get a new wardrobe. Um, and then also, let's just say for my weight wise, obviously I started off initially bigger at 96 then kg. Now I actually weighed myself recently. Obviously, at my lowest, I was roughly 91.8 kg. Right now, I'm keeping it consistent around 73 kg. However, my calories have increased significantly since that. So I don't know how I'm still managing it, but I still have. Um, but I'd say on average, my body hasn't dropped everywhere. Like my biceps are still the same, my thighs are still the same. It's mainly the fat deposit areas such as my love handles. I think can't remember. I know it was at least 15 plus centimeters at least dropped off my waist.
Yeah, the stats are unreal. You know, when I was pulling those off your trainer eyes and just seeing all the numbers dropping down, and then the graphs as well are just absolutely insane. Um, do you mind if I kind of ask you, like, because that's the physical win. That was the things
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people almost prioritize. They see that as the biggest success. But what would you say your biggest success has been beyond the physical?
Yeah, it's actually believing in myself, I would say. Because before I would just, my biggest win was always like, and I sometimes still do it, I would just put, like be the toughest critic on myself. I would always say to myself, no, it's not enough. No, actually, this is failing. No, it's actually saying it's not good enough. So actually, even throughout the process, I would say 6, 7 months in, I was still exactly the same about that. And it's actually the ability to learn that actually, let's break it down. Let's take 2 steps back. Instead of saying, no, it's not good enough, why don't we break it down and actually say, what is good enough? And it's actually taking the biggest challenges, like I say, which I say is not good enough, and breaking them into smaller, manageable chunks and actually have it every day and every small part as a small win. Even though I'm not flying or actually achieving my end objective there and then, just doing that smallest little bit is actually my biggest win. And it's not only in my personal life, I'm actually using it towards my professional life too. Instead of saying I'm working on a big project, I need to get everything done perfectly, XYZ. Actually, let's be more realistic with it. What can be achieved within 1 week or 2 weeks?
Right.
So I would say that's one of my biggest wins of actually just learning to actually say, let's take a step back. Let's actually believe in ourselves and do what's achievable.
Look, I'm really grateful, honestly, that you shared that because I know how many people struggle, A, with the inner critic, but also putting so much pressure on themselves to have got everything done, get everything done today. There's always this rush, this pressure, and then it
Hmm.
builds up on us and we start to just feel like we're not getting anywhere. Do you mind if I ask Atish what his view is of like what is he sees has changed and evolved with you over this last
Go
month?
for it.
Yeah. Atish, if you don't mind, bro.
I mean, I think naturally I can see a lot more relaxed a guy who's enjoying himself. I think that's probably like the number one thing. We all knew Rishi as An absolutely lovely guy who loves to have a good time. Him having a joke and a laugh is all he's about, and he seems himself again. He's got his spark. I think he's happy again. Not to say he had obvious signs of being unhappy, but this is just the same Rishi that we all knew before his health, and some of the figures went the way they did. But I think, for years I've been saying to Rishi, I want to see you back. I want to see you get back to, where you were, because we've seen him in his prime in many ways in terms of the energy he gives to other people. Obviously, the fit guy that we saw at university, with massive biceps and really good big traps that he had that figure. But I think I think more so than just the look, it gave him a particular aura, and I think it's back. So from a really close friend's perspective, I think I'm proud of the fact that he's back to being his happy self. I think you couldn't really ask much more of him, and I'm just grateful that his kids get that version of him, because to have a happy dad, I think as a happy sort of male sort of a role model, it will go a long way in their lives. They're gonna they themselves are go through a lifetime of hardships and ups and downs, and to have that happy role model around them will just give them everything they need to get through that. So yeah, I think once again, congrats to him. To be able to be that sort of a dad, I think is special.
Mate, I'm really glad that you brought that up, actually, because being a role model, like it's not the things that you say, it's the things that you do, and it's the things you do consistently, and just having that identity come back to you. So where you were when you started this program, imagine, Rishi, if I said to you on the day that we first spoke about you joining the program, by the way, I'm going to get you in front of a bunch of people. There might be about 150 people listening back to this. Are you happy to jump on a podcast and talk about your health? I don't think I would have got a yes. I think I would have got a no. I'd rather leave.
Nah,
But
you would have got many excuses.
yeah, that energy, that aura, that identity returning. You've been an incredible role model to the family. Like, these are the things that matter the most, and it's because of all the hard work that you've done and the consistency that you've shown and the ability to communicate with us around the challenges fast and find solutions throughout the process. I've just got a few more questions, if you don't mind, man.
Perfect.
This is more for the benefit of everybody else listening into this, whether you guys are online now or listening to the podcast later. What would your biggest bits of advice be to somebody on the program that may be struggling, may not be progressing as quickly as they thought they should? What's your biggest pieces of advice for the members?
Yeah, I will go actually three main pieces. The number one thing would be trust. Trust the process. Whatever you've learned in the past, forget it. Exactly what you told me when I first joined. And that's something which I still had challenges sometimes going back and actually say, just trust the process. Sometimes where you may think what Juggy and the team was saying, you might think is actually ludicrous. You might think, actually, what, I'm actually allowed to eat X amount of food. That's actually a lot of food. But just trust the process. They know what they're doing. You just have to stay with it, believe in it, and eventually it may not happen right away, but you'll get to your end goal or close to your end goal, depending on actually how much you put in yourself. The second piece of advice I would say is also be honest. The only person you're actually lying to on the process is yourself. It's not like everyone's going to be watching exactly how you're pushing yourself. If saying you're completing your sets, eating the right food, tracking it incorrectly just so it looks good on paper, you're just being dishonest to yourself. End of the day, it's okay if you slip up. It's okay if you have bad days, because the whole purpose of this process is actually understanding the reason why, not to tell you off, to actually say how can we actually help and advise you to potentially go that extra mile. Otherwise, work, maybe take a step back and see if something else is able to work for yourself. And the last thing I would actually say is like what I've been saying, is just stay consistent. Like, even if you're having a crappy day, just try to get as much as your workout done, even if it's not 10 reps, even if you do 5 good reps, it's better than nothing. It's just literally staying consistent throughout the whole of the process and on a normal day to day. Just try to keep into, and it's okay if your routine messes up, but at least try to find that time to keep consistent for 1 or 2 parts.
Man. But all of those are magic, man. Like, if everybody can apply them consistently and do that, you get results. It's hard not to get results when you're doing those things. And just remember, I think, just to kind of add to what you've just shared there, I wouldn't expect everybody to know what to do straight away and be perfect. If you were, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't need our help in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
We're not robots, we're human beings. We're not here to be, competitive bodybuilders. We're here to be the best versions of ourselves for the best reasons possible, which in your case is really shining through. Hearing Atish share what he said, hearing you talk about the impact it's had on you, your family, your confidence, it's absolutely incredible, man. How about somebody not on the program? So similar to you, when you had Atish constantly like asking you, like, are you going to join? Are you going to join? Are you going to join? What advice would you have to somebody that's not on the program, maybe sitting on the fence at the moment?
I would say one thing: tomorrow is never going to happen unless you actually make it happen. Like something that I kept on saying, and Adish will probably say the same thing. He'll go on to me every single day saying, "Are you going to sign up to CHR? Are you going to sign up to CHR? When are you going to lose weight? When are you going to come back? When are you going to actually start doing something about exactly what?" And no one's actually going to force you to do it. The only way you're going to do it is by actually making yourself doing it and actually taking that leap. You may think, "Oh, actually, let me look at how much it costs. Let me actually look at, I don't have no time to do it." But end of the day, you've got to prioritize what's important to you in life. Is your health and well-being more important? Or is it something which is an object like money, which will just come and go? Or is it something like time, where it's just can be there, but just might need help managing it better? So I would just say, um, end of the day, you can keep it in an hour in, and the longer you take in an hour in, is the more time you're actually losing in order to make yourself a better self.
Yeah,
And if I can honestly think back at it, if I potentially joined a year before when Atish actually was saying it, I might be in a completely different shape to what I am at the moment. So if I look at it in that sense, that 1 year, I actually, instead of gaining the extra pounds, I could have been losing them extra pounds.
yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's really powerful because it is what you value most in life. And I think a lot of us are taught to value external things like the house, the car, the watches,
Hmm.
whatever. But when you start to see the value of time and energy and the impact your health can have on everything you do, it's a no-brainer. It really is. But you talked about investment, man, because when we initially spoke, I'm assuming that you didn't really know about the investment, what that might look like. Do you think you got your money's worth? Do you think the investment was worth it?
Yeah, like in the sense of, like I said, you can't put the price on health. End of the day, if you have to double think everything, then you have to double think your priorities, because at the end of the day, something that won't be fixable in the future would be your health once it goes to a certain point. So that's why I say, yeah, I definitely got my money's worth, because I've managed to not only get to a good state, but I've also learned my body better. And I think that's more important, learning actually how to handle, okay, I know this ain't right on my body. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, I was just eating non-stop junk food, let's just say. Like, I actually had some deep fried food and some junk and so I actually went to my wife and said, you know what, I think my body needs some vegetables today. And that would never come out of me. Atish will probably vouch for that.
Yeah, again, you can't put a price on that because, from my perspective, everything you've learned and everything you've implemented, that's you for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Like, it's part of who you are now rather than just something you do. I think that's absolutely incredible, man. Um, is there any questions that you thought I'd ask you today that I didn't ask you that you thought actually people should hear and benefit from?
I would say the most one that you actually, I thought you might have asked me the reason actually what my biggest struggles would have been on the program, in the sense of like it was more about actually all the benefits, but it's actually more about struggles, and it's actually an ongoing struggle as well. Just because you're on the program does not mean everything gets fixed, does not mean that you're always going to be 100% in a better way. It's always going to be a battle against yourself as well. So sometimes, even to this day, like I say, I still have to, some days I'll battle myself saying, no, I still have to keep on going. And it's never going to be ending. So it's just, I would say there'll be more challenges, for example. So just because you're on a program, just because you're doing something, magic doesn't happen. unless you actually put the effort into it. And on top of that, it's a slow process. Nothing's going to happen in a month. There's no such thing as crash dieting. There's no such thing as actual losing weight in a specific area overnight. There's actually just literally cracking on and letting time go by, but actually keeping the right approach towards that home.
You've said something there which shows me that you hold yourself more accountable now.
Hmm.
But you know, early on in the journey, when you were facing challenges, when you were facing struggles, do you feel that you benefited from just reaching out and sharing and talking to the coaching team to find solutions quickly? Or were you still feeling like you were asking yourself to solve the problems?
So it was a mixture. So whenever I have a problem, and I'll guarantee 90% of people do this, they go straight to Google and Google it. Um, Google is not going to give you the 100% right answer. It's going to say, "Oh, you're suffering from the worst thing ever. You got 15 days to live," or something like that. So that's not actually the best approach. So I would sometimes go there, actually look at stuff. Eventually, I did get to a point of saying, like I said, be honest. So as one of my points, which I said, actually said, you know what, if I'm not going to be honest now, when am I actually going to be honest? So when I was actually telling you about, actually, the biggest problem is me finding excuses for everything. Is actually me saying no to myself. Otherwise, it's actually just saying, okay, why not just try tomorrow? Otherwise, leave it for another time. Otherwise, it's fine. Let's just continue how it is and let's see how what happens. Um, then eventually, when I did start speaking about it, I was just like, you know what? And I still struggle in his age to actually openly speak about stuff, just being me. But when I do actually speak, sometimes he actually says, you know what, let me get another opinion. Like 4 weeks ago, I was speaking to one of the coaches. I said, I'm struggling eating extra food now because I feel like I'm getting white and I'm gaining more fat. And then I said, God's response back, it's okay. I expect you to actually have that extra fluff. And it's good that you're gaining that extra fluff because eventually, when it gets to the second bit of actually trusting the process, you'll eventually get to where we need to get to be.
Yeah, man. And
And if I wasn't honest about that, I'll just suffer in silence.
yeah, and you wouldn't eat that extra food, and then we wouldn't see the
Yeah.
progress we need to see, and that whole kind of mental battle would be holding you back. But look,
Yeah.
I think vocalizing challenges really, really quickly allows us to find solutions really, really quickly. And oftentimes we don't want to admit when we're struggling. I think particularly brown men don't like to tell people.
Hmm.
But just breaking that down and being more open and honest, I think that's powerful, man. Um, Rishi, I'm going to speak for myself and everybody here and everybody that listens to this and just say massive, massive thank you for taking the time out to share your journey. It has been inspiring. I think you've done incredibly well. I look back at those notes from that initial call and to see where you were and where you are today, it's chalk and cheese, man. Like complete different, complete U-turn. So thank you, man. And keep pushing on, bro. Keep pushing.
Thanks, Jackie. And obviously, thank you and the team, because obviously, without the team, and not only the team, I'll say the community. If even sometimes if I'm quiet to the community, I'm still reading in silence. And it actually does give you that bit of support and guidance where you need it on them days and actually guides you through everything.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, obviously it's not only a one person effort, it's actually like they say, it takes a village to bring up a kid.